Yo guys, what's up? Alan here from the garage. In the background you see my fully prepared DRZ400, which is just ready for a trip through Eastern Europe for around 2 weeks. And during that process I figured there might be some stuff worth sharing with you, especially while preparing the bike, and also what to bring with you on a trip like that, like tools and clothes, camping gear, and riding gear whatsoever. So we got all the stuff laid out on this table here. You can see the camping gear. Then we got tools and everything needed. Of course we do have the bike here, and then last but not least we do have the riding gear. And now I'm gonna go through detail in all of those topics, what to look out for, what to bring. And yes, as you can see in the garage there are a couple other bikes. We got an HAP 240, which is just having fuel issues, so that's still a work in progress. We got of course the XR600 or 650R, which unfortunately will not make it to Eastern Europe, just because I like the DRZ more. It's my go-to bike. Then we got a DRZ400 SM, where we're gonna put some mods on it. It's gonna get a higher compression with the DRZ400E base gasket, some new camshafts. We're gonna mod out the carburetor to hell, and I'm gonna take you on the process with that once I'm back from the trip. Yeah, then we got the KLX 250 of my girlfriend, and there's actually the twin, the Zebra. It's my friend's bike, and he's gonna use it to go with me on this journey, on this trip. And then we got the clapped out DRZ400E. That's just basically a spare parts bike, but just to give you an update on that. So let's start with the good stuff. Let's head to the bike first. First of all, of course, that's obvious. Get new tires and make sure like the suspension, everything is working out well. I'm not gonna go too deep into that. Just more on what to do to adventurize your bike. So of course with this one we've got a full rally tower here. You don't need that, but actually what's kind of important is to have I do have a GPS on here, and I do have a phone mount that I can use just to navigate on the trails. That's kind of helpful. And then of course a USB charger, which then I'll usually use to run to my tank bag and fill up a battery in here, which then powers all my other devices. So electricity, some navigation device, that's quite helpful. And then of course we've got a luggage system. On this one I'm using the Moto Detail cheap ass tank bag. That's quite helpful. I'll usually place everything in here where I need quick access, but we're gonna go through that in a bit. Then we do have the 21 Brothers saddlebag. I really like this system. Only disadvantage is there is just one big compartment in here, so if you have something on the bottom, it kind of takes a while to unwrap it and get everything out. But this one you just roll up, clamp it down, and it seats nicely. For the bike, of course, do an oil change before you leave, and of course the air filter is also quite important. And just to show you that, for this trip, because it's quite sandy, you can also use this in the desert. I do have an air filter underneath. It's a Sprint air filter. It doesn't require any oiling or whatsoever. But since it doesn't keep the dirt off as much, I decided to use a net. You can buy that specifically for this bike, which then keeps all the dust away. I'm not gonna go too much more into detail because there's plenty of videos out there that tell you you need to buy a saddle and a tank and whatever to adventurize your tank. That's quite helpful, but actually what you need is a saddlebag, maybe a tank bag, it's helpful, and other than that, electricity and some navigation equipment. That's basically it. So now, next step, let's head to the tools section. What I'm usually bringing is, first of all, it's a foot pump you can use to inflate your tires, and it's quite big. You can also get a hand pump, but since we are switching from road to off-road quite a lot of times, I just decided to bring this one because it's quite fast to inflate tires. Then of course we do have a ratchet set. With that, usually there's just, I bring a small ratchet here, and then we got a 14 millimeter, a 13, a 12, a 10, a 8, 7, 6. We do have some Phillips screwdrivers, different ones just to get the right size, a flathead, and then we have some Allen head in different sizes, the sizes we need on the bike. Usually when I rebuild a bike, I mark all the tools I need, so I know what to bring on a trip with that. In this instance, I'm also bringing some jets and needles for the bike, just to fine-tune it properly, but that's not really necessary. Then, of course, get some pliers. I do even have the feeler gauges for checking valve clearance. Then we have the, I guess that's a 3/4 inch, I guess it is. Not really that familiar with the sizes. We do have a spark plug socket here, and then we also have the spark plug removal kit, because on the DRC it's quite a pain in the ass sometimes to get it out. I do have a bead body and some tire levers to bring with me, just in case if I do have a flat. Actually, I'm just gonna throw one out because I have some buddies riding with me, and in an emergency I can use two and maybe some other tool and it will cover. Then what's a quite nice thing to bring, there's no etiquette on this, but this is actually a 2K epoxy. They kind of sell it, it's basically JB Weld. It's a 2K epoxy which is heat resistant and will fix basically everything. Then I do have some super glue as well, also 2-component, just for anything unforeseen. We do have some zip ties, and really important, we do have the 24 millimeter nut, just to remove the front and rear axle, and just if I need to do an oil change and for comfortability. I do have a 14 millimeter socket in here and a 17 millimeter, which helps you to get the linkage apart and anything else. So that's in here. Then we do have a adjustable wrench, just for everything. If I don't have enough wrenches, I need twice a 14, but I just have the 17, 14, 13, 12, a 10, or 2 10s actually, 9, 7 and 6. So I bring a lot of wrenches with me. Usually I don't need them all, but just for any case. Then I do have some Allen keys as well. They're quite handy. Of course it's some weight, but on tools I'm not saving, because I like disassembling bikes and I don't like bikes that are not running. With that, I bring an oil filter. It's quite handy. I have this in my seal saver. Just drilled it out a bit so I can store it here. I'll bring that, some gloves, and the rest then is for the camping equipment. So let's go here. Actually, this is all the camping equipment I'm using. I've got the Nature Hike Cloud Up 2. It's 1500 grams. It's a 1 to 2 people tent, and it works quite nice. Only downside is you need to put in some stakes, otherwise the tent will kind of collapse on its own. So then I do have a sleeping mattress. This one is about 500 grams. It's quite lightweight for its price, but definitely not something, yeah, I mean, you can still go smaller with those mattresses if you spend more money on it. We do have the big Agnes 3-in-1 sleeping system. I just put in one bag here, and this one's actually comfortable until like 3 degrees Celsius. It's quite compact. It weighs around 650 grams, so yeah, definitely worthwhile investing in a good sleeping bag. Then in here we do have some auxiliary equipment. Just open that. We do have some toilet paper to bring with. We do have a water filter. It's quite handy, and some cutlery, and then of course a knife and some rope, just for anything needed. Then I do also bring some water preparation tablets and some spare batteries with me in here in this case, and a little bit of electrical tape. Then this is my cooking equipment. It's quite rudimentary, but it's enough for everything. So you can use this one as a pan. Then I brought some coffee with me for the start. And then if you remove this one, we've got a cooker in here with a little gas bottle, and actually I can use petrol or fuel or whatever you want to call it to cook on this stove. So that's quite handy, and that's it for the cooking equipment here. Then for clothes, I usually bring 2 separate bags. These are vacuum compression bags, so you can zip them and roll them, and they will just release air down here and won't let any air back in. So yeah, you can really compress the volume of it. This one is just my riding gear. It contains of 2 underpants and 2 t-shirts, 2 pair of socks, or yeah, 2 pair of socks. So I just have 2 complete sets of underwear, let's call it, not more. And then I do bring another one. This is kind of the one I use when I go for dinner somewhere, just something a bit nicer and not too sweaty. So this one I will keep clean, and this one I'm gonna alternate with washing every day or 2. Then this is quite helpful. These are short pants. You can then zip some legs on. They're basically zip-ons, and it's quite helpful because you have 2 pants in one, and they dry up quite fast. So that's what I'm gonna bring. Then of course shoes. With this one I'm quite rudimentary. That's just some swimming sandals, I guess, and they're quite good for a quick walk. You could even go to a restaurant with it, and you can use them basically as flip-flops. They can get wet and add pretty much no weight. Don't forget to bring a trash bag. I usually take this one just to put in like plastic stuff, not any foods or whatever, so I can reuse it throughout the trip, and just collect anything in here and then throw it away once I get to the next village. Then I do bring my wallet with passport and stuff in here, and also don't forget to bring some money. It doesn't have to be the country's currency, but maybe if you're in Europe, bring some euros. If you're in another part of the world, bring some US dollars. It's always gonna somehow work out if you need something. Then bring your headlamp. It's I'd say a luxury item, but quite nice to have, and I'm always bringing it with me. It's also something I'm running in my tank bag where I also got some earplugs, another little flashlight, some sunscreen, a battery pack, and some sunglasses in here. So that's the setup of the bike I'm using with all that tools and camping gear, and the pocket as well. We are around 11 kilograms, so it's quite lightweight, and I like to keep it that way just to maintain the maneuverability of the bike, and we want to have some fun. Then next up and last, the riding gear. So let me just show you through what we have and what works well and what doesn't. So let's start with the helmet. This is just a clapped out Enduro helmet. I don't really particularly like this one. It's quite comfortable, but still the wind noises with this one are terrible. That's also why I'm bringing earplugs. I usually wear them pretty much all the time. So helmet, make sure you have one that sits nice and watch out for the wind noises. Then the goggles I'm using, it's actually a Scott Prospect, and they do have an auto darken visor on it. So when the sun hits it, they automatically dim, and I'm only using these goggles. I'm using them for over 4 years now, and they're awesome. You don't need to switch visors in the night or when it's extremely sunny. I've been through the desert with them. I've been through night rides with them, and they perform absolutely great. So big plus for the Scott Prospects. Don't forget to bring a little, I don't know how you call that, a little sleeve to put around your neck, just to be protected from insects and stuff. That kind of hurts. I mean, if you're riding motorcycles, you know what I'm talking about. So this is also quite helpful. Then I'm just going to wear a Alpinestars Bionic vest. This is the first generation. The second generation is also pretty good. There's lots of ventilation here going on, so that's great. And also it's quite comfortable to wear all through the day. And if I ride more on the road, I'm just going to put a jacket on top, just to make sure if I slide on the asphalt I don't get burn marks. But since we are mainly focusing on riding off-road, I'm just going to put a jersey on it, and if I do get cold, then I do have this little compact wind rain jacket, which is not completely waterproof, but it helps. Then for the gloves, I do have the, what's it called, Alpinestars copper gloves. They're quite handy. They have a solid protection for the knuckles, which I like, and they are resistant to rubbing on the asphalt, so they're quite good and still ventilated well enough for a trip through the hot weather. Then here on the side we do have a rain jacket and also a warning vest, just because that's necessary to bring in some countries. And for the pants, I go for the Buse Santerno, I guess they're called. Actually great pants in here. That's just mesh. They let air flow through like crazy, but still, if it's cold, because your legs are usually bent, the wind will hit your knees, and only if you stand up you can really let the air flow through your legs. So really good pants. Then we do have some knee protectors as well, just because we're riding off-road and the risk is quite high, to stay safe here. Then last but not least, we do have some boots. I don't really like the motocross or enduro boots. These ones are a bit softer. They're leather boots from Vanucci, they're called. It's actually the most expensive part of that attire, but still it just costs around 200 euros. So They have a footsole with quite a lot of grip, and they're really, really comfortable for walking, for riding. They provide enough stability and protection. So I'm really happy with that mix. Yes, so that's basically everything I'm gonna bring on the trip. That's what I'm gonna wear. Of course, there's a drinking bladder as well, 3 liters. For me, that's optimal. And I'm just gonna put that in a small backpack. Camping gear, as we talked through, all the tools, and then of course the bike. So next up, I'm just gonna load everything on the bike, and I'm gonna show you how that looks like, how that feels like, so you have a reference for that. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so I put in all the stuff we had laying around here now, except for the pants and the gloves. I didn't bother on putting it in like efficiently. You can still make it much more compact if you place it the right way, but I'm gonna remove the whole saddlebag anyway for transporting the bike, so I just leave it like that for now. What's important is to make sure the part on your exhaust, if that side gets burned, which I had experiences with it, make sure it's maybe not your sleeping bag, your mattress, or your tent, anything you really need. I usually put the tools here because they're made out of metal and they won't melt. On this side we have the whole sleeping system, and of course you see there's still lots of room here for improvement, so we could even push it down a little more to make that part flat as well, but I'm just not gonna bother with that. We do have the bike pump on here, easily accessible for inflating, deflating tires. And then in this bag here we also have our little toolkit, just because yeah, it's always quite handy to have a 10mm or 8mm socket on hand. So that's it. I guess there's not too much to say. If you want some more information on some specific stuff, please let me know in the comments and I can cover that a bit more in detail. I just wanted to give you an overview on what to bring, especially for adventure novices, that you know what to bring and what not to bring. And I guess the important motto here is that every single gram counts. Like every gram you do have on the bike more than you actually need, the heavier it's gonna feel, especially when picking the bike up, when it falls down, tips over, and maybe you have short legs. It just makes it harder and harder, and yeah, it's not that much fun as riding without any weight. So keep it down, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll see us in the next one. Probably the next video is gonna be on the DRZ400 SM. I wanna show you on how to really get the last horsepower out of the BSR 36 carb, so the stock carb of the DRZ400 SM. And I'm just gonna show you what mods you could do. Basically also free mods you can do to get more power, more throttle response, and so on. So that's going to be the next part. Yeah, if you want to see what's happening there, you can also subscribe. You get notified in maybe 3 weeks probably, once that is going on. There's going to be a lot more DRZ content coming soon, because I do have some other bikes laying around. One is even completely disassembled in the garage. So I'm really looking forward to rebuild this bike. Thanks for watching, guys. I see you after the trip. Stay safe, ride DRZ, and stay cool, guys. Bye bye.